Hello to the pupils of, what is it? St. Francis Church of England Primary School in Swindon in the county of Wiltshire. You've asked me some questions. I'm now going to answer them one by one. Now, the first question was, what clothes would you like to wear? Well, as you can see, something casual. No, what I wanted, being Henry, I wanted something big, something impressive, something that made everyone go, whoa, look at that king! Because I am the king, and I want to be noticed. So I wear something big and grand and imposing, that when people see me, they know I'm the king. So the thing to do was all image with Henry. I had to be seen to be the most glamorous, the most haughtily dressed, the most powerful-looking man in the room, and that's what Henry's costume was all about. Bluster and show. And that's what you've got here. Second question, why did I get so fat? How dare you? But of course it is a good question. It's a reasonable question. The question needs answering. Now the thing is, Henry wasn't always so fat. Henry was a very athletic, very healthy young man. However, suffered a very bad jousting injury earlier in my life. And it was an injury that I never really fully recovered from. Unfortunately, I was hit, my horse was hit with a lance. I fell off the horse fell across me and crushed my legs. I ended up with a very deep cut in my thigh and a crushed bone in the thigh. And it was basically an injury the king could not recover from. The basic medical ideas of the Tudor people at the time weren't suitable. They could not mend a crushed bone. Broken bone, yes, but a crushed bone was something different. And something that the king never fully recovered from. The last 15 years of my life in pain with that leg almost every single day. Probably one of the reasons why I was so famously bad-tempered. Mind you, 6 mother-in-laws couldn't have helped, but anyway. I digress. But it was also something that made the reason that I was basically disabled for the rest of my life. I couldn't take part in the sports and games like I did before. I'd always taken part in sports and games. I'd always eaten a lot. But I exercised. But of course, as soon as I'm damaged this way, I can no longer take part in the sports and games like I did before. And unfortunately, if you eat a lot and don't exercise, only one thing's going to happen. You can blow up like a balloon. And that's what happened to Henry. So there you are. That's why I got so fat. But don't ask that question again. How many wives did I have? 6. 6 wives. Catherine of Aragon, Anne Boleyn, Jane Seymour, Anne of Cleves, Catherine Howard, and Catherine Parr. Or if she wasn't feeling very well, Catherine slightly below par. Sorry. Yes, 6 wives, 6 mother-in-laws, as I mentioned before. And which was my favourite? Very good question. A lot of people automatically plump for Jane Seymour because she gave me a son, something I'd always wanted. But I think my favourite personally was also my least favourite, which sounds like an odd answer. Catherine of Aragon. We were married for 23 years, most of which was blissful harmony, but it was only the last few years when Catherine stood up to me, who didn't do what I wanted her to do. I got very cross with her, very angry with her, and hated her. She absolutely stood up to the king, something people did not do. To the point that I hated her that when she actually eventually died, some time after I'd divorced her, I had a party to celebrate. Henry, not a very nice person. But yes, 6 wives, probably Catherine of Aragon, possibly Jane Seymour. You decide. Was I worried about my marriage to Catherine of Aragon because she'd been married to Arthur? I suppose a little, because then I was very young when Arthur died. I was only 9 years old when Arthur died, so, didn't really get to know him terribly well. I suppose there was some doubt in my mind about their marriage. Would it be a problem for us? But then I did use it to my advantage when I divorced Anne. I tried to prove whether their marriage had been, Anyway, so, yes, I suppose I was a little worried, but it wasn't anything that particularly played on my mind. I just knew I'd lost a brother and I'd suddenly become the Prince of Wales and got a Spanish girlfriend. Not bad when you're about 9. Yes, one of the most recognised monarchs probably anywhere in the world. You could literally go to anywhere in the world, go to a complete stranger in the street and say, name a famous English king from history. And 9 times out of 10, the first response you're going to get is, get away from me, you freak. But yes, Henry VIII, known everywhere. And do I consider myself handsome? Does the Pope have a balcony? Well, I was a very handsome young man. Things have gone a bit to pot of late, but yeah, I still think I'm, hot to trot. Stop it. Do I consider myself a sportsman? Certainly when I was younger, yes. I revelled in all sorts of sports. I played football. Yes, believe it or not, I did play football, though football was a bit different in those days. You could really just go over and attack people. I suppose Luis Suarez could do that if he was still playing Tudor-style football. Very fond of horse riding, riding around. Jousting, of course, was a great delight of mine. I thoroughly enjoyed jousting whenever my very first son was born, Henry, to Catherine of Aragon. Sadly, he didn't last very long. But when he was born, I celebrated by jousting for 12 days non-stop, which was pretty horrific for the horses, I should imagine. But, yes, I delighted in tennis as well. Very fond of wrestling. I was a very powerful and good wrestler when I was younger. Just don't ask me about the Field of the Cloth of Gold and what happened there, but we won't go into that. But yes, I consider myself a sportsman very much when I was younger. Not so much now. I'm more of a bowling ball with legs. So there you go. How many people did I execute? I can tell you right now how many people Henry VIII executed. None. I got other people to do it for me. And in fact, I actually ordered the deaths of approximately 70,000 people during my reign, which is about 5 people for every single day I was king, so I kept someone very busy. Why did I execute so many people? Because they kept asking questions like that. Also, mainly because I could. How did you die? Well, I sort of went and fell off my chair. No, I didn't. I didn't do anything like that at all. Nobody knows for sure how Henry VIII died. There are a variety of theories, one of which is he died from a very, very grown-up naughty disease that you lot are far too young to know about, called syphilis, and we won't go into that. We're pretty sure from what the records show us now that Henry didn't die of that. I personally think he probably died of possibly something to do with his lungs. He suffered with his breathing as he got older. So maybe something like pleurisy or pneumonia or some kind of bronchial problem, because Henry became so huge, very unhealthy towards the end of his life, and his breathing he probably struggled with. So that's my personal opinion, but I say probably unless we actually dig his old bones up and do some DNA testing on it, I don't think we'll ever really fully know. What is your favourite drink? It's obvious, isn't it, really? It's Diet Pepsi. No, it's not Diet Pepsi. That's ridiculous. No, because they didn't have that in Tudor times. Henry's favourite drink was red wine, French red wine. Has to be imported from France, so it's very expensive, and really only somebody like me can probably afford loads of it. A lot of people often think that Henry liked a drink called mead, a drink made from honey, but most records show that Henry didn't like mead at all, wasn't very fond of it. So red wine, or occasionally Henry liked a good beer, a good old-fashioned British ale. That was his favourite tipples. What countries did I visit and why? Well, Henry was not a great traveller. Didn't do much travelling. He was probably the least travelled of all the Tudor monarchs. He would travel through England from time to time on one of his royal progresses. But as far as we're aware, he never went to Scotland, he never went to Wales. So he was mostly in England. And the only other country we know he definitely visited was France on a couple of occasions. Sometimes for war, once trying to make peace, but neither of which particularly successful, I have to say to you. But no, not a terribly well-travelled Tudor person. What did I think when Arthur died? Well, the thing is, I was very young, 9 years old. So it's hard to imagine what goes through the mind of a child to lose an older sibling at that very early age. I don't know. Honestly, don't know. Probably, yes, very sad at the loss of an older brother, but mortality rate was so high in those days that probably not to be surprised, even in the royal family, to lose children. So I should imagine Henry was upset, as anybody would be, but being the person, the kind of character he was, he probably just got on with it. And little do we know. Unless we build a time machine and go back and ask him ourselves, in which case a very tiny-voiced Henry would go, "Where's my brother gone?" Well, thank you all you lovely people at St Francis School in Swindon. Thank you for asking me those questions. Let's say a big hello to your head teacher, Mrs. Farrell. Hello, Mrs. Farrell. And particularly to Mr. Dunstan, of course, and Mrs. Sellers. Hello, Mrs. Sellers. Stop it, no. And so to Year 6 river kingfishers and common kingfishers. They're the ones who aren't blue, they're just common, they just wear brown. Well done for your fabulous questions. Huzzah! Stay safe during this time, and hopefully I'll come visit your school one of these days. Thank you for your questions. See you soon. Bye-bye.